Welcome back to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. We're going through the 5 steps to prevent summer slide and to help get our kids caught up. And these are things that we can do as parents that really maximize the summer hours. But don't forget, first max all of the ABA hours you can possibly do. This is a great time to get our kids caught up. So tip number 2 is write. Now, as we've said before, we want to cover all ages and all skill levels. So let's start with very young babies. And you're like, my baby can't write, and my baby shouldn't be able to write. You know, he's a year and a half old. We're not working on essays, Shannon, right? But the truth of the matter is you should be working on writing skills with a 1.5-year-old. You absolutely should, because you want to work on the pincer grasp and the tripod grasp. So with very young children, the first thing that we want to do is make sure that their ability to do this and hold something works well. And one of the, you can do this with all kinds of toys and all kinds of fun, but one of the easiest things to do it with is with raisins. If you put, they have to be past the age of having a choking hazard, right? Or things like the cereal that's usually in the shape of an O, and there's different brands that you can do that. Make sure it's something really healthy, non-GMO. But you put them on the high chair tray, and they have to pick them up to eat them. Now, it's fun for them because they enjoy the eating, and it's also fun to pick up and be in control of what you eat. Remember, they've had spoons stuck in their face. They like the anonymity of and the autonomy, I think that's the word I want, of being able to pick up their food and feed themselves. So they're going to do that with the pincer grasp because that's almost the only way that you can pick up with a raisin, right? And we really want to encourage that as much as possible. So when a child is older, and again, past a choking hazard, using beads, and you'll see at the toy store, they have those old-fashioned toys that everybody's like, what are those old-fashioned toys and why are they good for us? But anything, those lacing toys that have the beads on them, and a lot of Melissa and Doug toys are really good with this. They have those cards that are animals, and then they have all these lacing threads, and you have to poke the lace through the hole and then pull it out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're working on the pincer grasp, right? Everybody goes, oh, that's a sewing toy. No, that's a handwriting building skill toy right there, and it's a fabulous thing. And kids like them. They're not going to like them forever, but there's a specific time when they're younger where being able to do that is, and make sure you're reinforcing it, right, is great. And also threading beads onto the string. A lot of those toys come with that as well. Do it with them. Don't expect them to do it. And if it's not reinforcing for them in the beginning, if it's not fun for them, make it fun. And you can make things like that fun. You can be silly with it. You can be poking things through and being like, oh, I can't do it. Can you show me? And they'll help you to do it. Make it fun. If you need to power pack it with other things, do. Put other things in the environment that make it fun. If there's a certain kind of music that your kid likes to listen to, you can put that on. If there's a certain snack that they like, they won't be able to do that endlessly, but you can take a cookie and break it up into 30 little squares, and every time they poke something through and pull it through, they get a little pop of the cookie in their mouth, and it's like, yay, we're doing praise, and we're giving a primary reinforcer, which is what food is, and we're teaching them that this is a fun skill. And you'll find that you can then fade back the cookie and they will still enjoy it. You'll be working on that pincer grasp. So then after the pincer grasp, I'm looking for a pen here, comes the tripod grasp, because this is how we appropriately hold a pen. Now, those big fat crayons that they get for very small kids, and then kids hold it like this and they color like this. That is, that's not harmful to a child, but that's not what we want to work on. What we want to build is this tripod grasp. And the way that we do that is we transition away from the big crayons when we're working on it. I'm not saying don't ever give them big crayons, but just when we're working on writing, we give them the regular size crayons, and what you do is you peel the wrapper completely off of them, because that makes them a little bit harder to hold. Don't know why, less reinforcing too. So you peel that off, and then you break them into smaller bits, like half, right? Or you can get those golf pencils, because you can't hold a golf pencil like this and write. It's too hard. So it forces them to be in the tripod grasp. Now, if you have an older child, and we're going to talk more about that in a minute, but if you have an older child who is not doing the tripod grasp, there are a million OT grips that go on a pencil that encourage the tripod grasp. I would encourage you not to just order one online, unless that's the only way you can get them. I would encourage you to find the teacher supply store near you and to take an afternoon and go to it and do a whole bunch of things there. But one of the things, they will have a section that's just pencil grips. And they're not very expensive, maybe, 50 cents, some of them, and I'm sure they go up from there. But play with them, try them, put them on a pencil, have your child try, see what they like, have them pick out the one that they like if they can, if that's a possibility, so that they will be reinforced by it. They have ones that vibrate, that, they have everything under the sun, you guys. So, but we want to be working on that tripod grasp. The other thing, and we gave these away at an event that we were just at, Wiki Sticks are fabulous. Wiki Sticks are like Bendaroos. If you have Bendaroos, those are fine too. Wiki Sticks are a little bit stickier than Bendaroos. That's really the only difference. But so when we're teaching a child how to write and write their name, there's so many things at play when we're teaching them how to do that. Like, they have to have the tripod grasp, and they have to be able, to move the thing, because let's face it, if you put the pencil this way, you don't get the mark. They have to be able to hold it up properly, which is all this, muscle, which also means having the other hand in a place, right? Then there's the whole hand-eye coordination thing, and then remembering what's the symbol that I'm supposed to do. It's a lot for a little one with sensory issues and a lot of stuff going on. So Wiki Sticks makes this really easy. What you do is you take a piece of paper and you take your Wiki Sticks and you bend it into the shape of the letter, but it looks like the outline of the letter, right? You leave space in between in the shape that you've created, and you stick it to the paper. And I'm doing it in the shape of J, because that was the first letter of my son's name. So your Wiki Sticks looks like this. I don't know if you guys can see on the page. It looks like the outline of the letter. And what you do is you have them take their pencil or crayon and stick their thing in the groove that's made by the Wiki Stick, and all they have to do is go. So it's helping them to do the hand-eye coordination. It's very reinforcing for them, because then it looks really cool, their name, and you say, look, you wrote your name. It's so fabulous, right? You reinforce them for it. Sometimes they like to leave it with the Wiki Stick on. Some of them like to peel the Wiki Sticks off and look at how they wrote their name, and you put it on the refrigerator and you praise them and reward them for having done their name. For kids that are older and already know that, by the way, there are tons of books that have designs on them for kids to draw lines. I just think that doing that by rote with no reinforcer, it's not fun for anybody, right? So make sure that if you're doing anything like that, that it's super duper fun. I find the Wiki Sticks, because you can lay them down and say, okay, we're gonna have a race. You put your crayon in your Wiki Stick, and I'm gonna put mine in mine, and we're gonna race to see who can get to the end, and who can, do sometimes it's wavy. You're building the hand-eye coordination. You can make it fun, folks. Don't make it boring and dry. Okay, now what about for older kids who already know how to do all that? They know how to write, but now we're getting into sentence structure. If there's no issue with the hand thing, there's a specific way of dealing with that. But if you're finding that you have an older kiddo and you're working on the hand thing, but it's coming along slow, and you still want to work on grammar and structure and whatever, they have those Build-A-Poem kits that it comes with a metal board and letters. And these were really popular like 20 years ago. People would put them on the refrigerator, and you'd come along and you'd make a sentence with the little magnetic letters. They're great for our kids. So, and you play with them where, you're each going to write a sentence. And because you're taking the handwriting out of it, they can build a sentence, right? And you can start with just, I want, and by the way, you can do this with kids who are nonverbal. These do not have to be verbal kids. And start with I want, and then they have to fill in the blank from the words that are there. And you're writing I want, and then you can start to be silly. We have this great game at home, which I don't think, I think if you can buy it now, you can only buy it used. But the truth is you could make it yourself. And it's called You've Been Sentenced. And it's basically that board, it's just cards. And you deal out the cards, and everybody has to make a sentence from the cards that they've been given. And it really, if you've got those older kids who are high functioning but just can't quite figure out how to structure a sentence, it's so funny, the sentences that people come out with from the things that they've been dealt. We laughed so long. So each, like there's words like I and he and it and should, but then there's other words. One of the words in the deck is sloppy, right? And one of them is dog and one of them is milk. And my husband, by the way, you get more points for the more cards that you use. And my husband made a sentence about something in the sloppy dog milk. And we laughed because you can challenge and say that's not a sentence. What is sloppy dog milk? And we laughed about that. It's years later and we're still laughing about it, okay? So super fun, but you know, giving them a way to put a sentence together without necessarily having to write, I really highly recommend it. And then making sure, for the older kids, making sure that they understand the very basics of grammar, because our kids respond to rules. So, you know, you can play a game with them, and this is something that you can do in the car. You can play a game of, you know, pick your rules, whatever it is that you're teaching them. Maybe you're teaching them punctuation this week. And you say, so we're just gonna work on, where do you put a period? Have you ever seen that guy on, the electric company, I think, or maybe he's on Sesame Street, I don't know, but he'll do a sentence and he'll have sounds for each one of the punctuations. So he'll say, I walked the dog for the period, right? There's a study that they did on teenagers, teaching them punctuation, where they gave a physicalization for each. So, you know, this was a comma. And so I've done it with a classroom of kids that were in 8th grade. It's something you can do in the car. Just make sure you keep your hands on the wheel, right? But you can give your kids a sentence and have everybody in the car figure out what words and put physicalizations. You can look up the study because I can't remember, but I think quotation marks were this and this was a comma and there was a specific thing. So in any case, make it fun, physicalize it, assign them colors, do whatever. For kids that are older, and if you are like, oh, Shannon, I just don't know how to do this, sign them up for a Khan Academy account and have them do either grammar or writing. You won't be sorry. Just reward them heavily for it. If you finish 2 modules of Khan Academy today, we will go for ice cream after dinner. Whatever it is, hey, bribery works. And we want for our kids to grow during the summer. So everybody gets a paycheck, right? All right, we're running out of time. So I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to do the next 3 really quick. Stick with us. Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.